Hello and welcome back to episode number, I believe this is 28. It's been a little while, and you guys are probably wondering where I've been, and that's why I don't know how to remember. Well, I've had a really annoying time over the last week. My sleep schedule's been kind of screwed up, and I've felt a bit sick as well on top of that, so I've not been feeling the best, so I decided I'm going to take a little bit of a break and take it easy. This has delayed a lot of things, but starting this week, we're going to be back on track. We're going to try and get more Uncut. We're going to try and get other series out. I'm going to start working on tutorials again, and hopefully you're going to go back into that full swing that you guys can enjoy and enjoy the content and enjoy Aurora as it is. Now, where were we in the current game? Well, for myself, combined with you guys, actually need to see what we've been happening. I remember we were attacking... where was it? In Alpha Centauri, yeah, we were trading back and forth, killing STOs with our battleships, and we didn't find too much success. We managed to destroy, I think, what is it, 3,000, 4,000 tons of STOs, and we didn't lose any ships. Something like that. And we're currently just rejoining all our fleets together, and then we're going to send them back over here, refuel them, and probably send them home at that point, get them repaired and sorted out. We need to clear those STOs out because we can't do anything before that happens, and we also need to design ourselves ground forces that are going to be able to effectively deal with the amount of ground forces the enemy has, which is estimated at currently, if we have a look over here, we estimate their ground force signatures at 500,000 tons. Now keep in mind that they are on what world is it again? They're on a prairie, so it's probably something more like 1 million tons. I'm going to guess like 1 million, 2 million tons around there. And that's the amount of forces that I would be factoring in. So we're going to need a lot of forces if we are going to actually land and take that world, which includes the need for lots of troop transports, includes the needs for the ground forces themselves, and a lot of other things. But for now, let's just get our forces home. I believe everything is just returning now on autopilot. We are taking some armor hits on the first Divilium. Penetrating hit, got into the crew quarters, but no casualties, which is fortunate. A few more hits there. Armor hits across the board, nothing to worry about. And that should now mean that all these fleets should be able to go and rejoin up and sort themselves out. Okay. Let me just make sure that all the destroyers, battleships, and stuff are in the same amount. Okay, so there's all our battleships. I'm gonna detach the destroyers, and I'm gonna order them back to, well, yeah, we got the cruisers. I just want to send the destroyers over. I don't want to send the cruisers because the cruisers can actually stay with the battleships. You're gonna head over to Alpha Centauri A4 on your own, and then we're gonna have the cruisers join up with the normal battleships. Then you're going to go refuel, resupply, and then we're going to take you over back to Sol and then do a refuel, resupply order, begin a unload survivors, and then begin an overhaul. We need to get the fleets back. I'm going to do a ceasefire order here really quickly, just make sure that everyone is not causing any issues. Was a destroyer not ceasefired correctly? Probably not. The SMS Puzzle. So battleship Puzzle, not sure why you were left behind, but head over to Alpha Centauri A4, begin a refuel, resupply, then head back to Sol. Begin a refuel, resupply, begin an overhaul. But yeah, I don't know what we're going to do about this. I mean, there's just so many ground forces. We're going to need like a massive training campaign. I mean, we have significant amount of material, not a lot of Gallicite, but I mean, if we look at our Vendorite reserves, we should be able to fund a quite significant amount of well, really anything that we need. So I'm gonna order up 30 ground force construction complexes. I want as many complexes as we can get because we're just gonna be trying to blitz through. Excuse me about the Discord, just open it up. But yeah, we're going to need to send millions and millions of tons of ground forces, and that is going to be extremely costly. And I mean, it will be the final battle, really. I mean, I think that will be the apex of the campaign. If we can take the world, if we can secure this area, the amount of resources that we could gather, we could gain, would definitely be worth it in almost all respects. So Fleet 004 is now back. That is our destroyers. They're going to keep a dutiful watch over the Alpha Centauri system. What happened to our logistics vessels I ordered up? Did I not order up some of those to be built? Yeah, I did. And those will be done on November 2100. And then June 2102, we'll have 2 more Königsberg class battleships and 3 more Bayerns on the February 2101. So overall, looking good in terms of all of that training. Prairie, normal habitability. Trying to think of what we can do. I really just think mass vehicle is going to be the way, right? It's just, but the problem is the amount of supply usage that's going to be needed for that. Like we're talking like hundreds of thousands of supplies minimum to be able to support an invasion of that sort. It's definitely not going to be something that's going to be easy for us to accomplish. As we colonize outwards into the solar system, definitely not. Alpha Centauri A4 is looking pretty good now at the moment. We could even send some cruisers over here for defensive purposes. And yeah, it's got enough fuel maintenance supplies to support most fleet actions going forward in this location. I'm still surprised that we haven't really seen much of an enemy fleet like yet recently. There's not been that. We've seen some, but there's not been those 20 battleships that we saw before that we've destroyed over this period. So they obviously are having a lot harder time rebuilding than they started with. And this is what you'll find when you play at 20% research speed is that the MPRs will spawn in based on your population, which is not affected by the research speed, but that research speed is going to be affected after the fact. So I think that might be the same with some of the other stuff. So we may be in some luck there. So let me think about this, right? Let's say a division is 200,000 tons. That's going to mean that we're going to need like 8 divisions? 16 divisions? Something like that, which is going to mean hundreds of formations and hundreds of thousands of tons of troop transports. Where could we actually stage an invasion? Like, we need to be able to put a forward base in more nearby. So, like, I guess B5? Is B5 a gas giant, though? Yeah, it is. So, B4, I guess, would be the best option. Land stuff on B4, then use that to move over, or B1 even. One of these planets we could land stuff over on. In terms of troop pods, we have 100 kiloton troop pod here. Yeah, we have 100 kiloton troop pod here. So we're gonna just need tugs. The problem is our tugs aren't doing too hot, are we? I mean, I was looking into research, wasn't I? I think did we complete that research? I think maybe we did. Oh, that's good. We need to design actually a commercial magnetic plasma drive engine. Size 100, 0.3 on that, which brings the cost down to 72 per engine. Even if we have a look over at 0.5, that's 200, so it really reduces that cost down, which is fantastic. Now, of course, that does mean that the engine power goes down significantly, but it should compensate just fine for what we need, because we want cheap tugs. Because the big problem with our tugs, if you have a look at the tugs right now, very, very costly. Okay, we want to be mass producing these things, so we're going to make ourselves another tug. Okay, and I'm going to give it a tractor beam, and then we're going to engine the hell out of it. So currently we're about 55,000 tons. We're probably going to go higher than that because we can. So we're going to go for a commercial magnetic plasma drive, and let's just increase that. That's 4,800 power, with a cost of 1,000. So it's only half, but nearly as effective as the Amber. We're going to need a lot of fuel for it as well, though, and it's a lot more fuel efficient. You know, it's 1% fuel percentage for each of the engines, so it's using about 10% as much fuel as it would. So that's actually really, really good. So that's 10 engines, 4,800 EP. Can we increase that at all? So 15 engines, 7,200 power. That should tug most things that we need, but what are our shipyards capable of actually doing here? Shipyards are for 60,000 tons. Let's keep it at under 60,000. We don't want to go above that fact. So there we go. That gives us 11 total engines. And then I'm going to add in fuelage. Actually, let's just take it away that engine. That gives us about 1,000 BP. And I'm going to add in some extra fuel now. So fuel, large. So that gives us 1 million liters of fuel on one of these vessels, but gives us a better range than the amber refits have, even though with pretty much the same power amount. So if we have a look at the amber here, it's about 4,800. With the amber refit, but it's less, but the efficiency is much better, and that means that we will use less fuel overall, which will be more efficient, and also the cost is down by a good 1,000. It's half the cost of our existing tugs, at only maybe a 15 to 20% negative in terms of our power capability, which directly translates to our ability to tug things as fast as we need to tug them. I'm happy with this. We're going to go for the Violin class tug. I'm going to research the engine, research mining plasma drive, and I'm going to order our little eggheads over in the science core to begin an immediate research of them. Hopefully they'll be able to get that done, relatively speaking, pretty quickly. So that'll be in the power of propulsion. Let's get that underway. And that'll be done on April of next year. April of next year, it is. Looks like our battleships are back home. Our fleet is pretty strong at the moment. 630,000 tons. I feel very confident that we can meet any enemy fleet that we come across in terms of the MPR anyway. I am a bit scared that we have teched our fleet so much into surface warfare that we have very little anti-missile capabilities. So that's something that I want to be very cautious about and not get too in over my head with, because we could go up against like an invader or something else that has missiles and we're just going to get absolutely destroyed. So I always have to keep that in mind. Anyway, we're getting repairs of many of the vessels. Armor, because we obviously took that damage, quite significant amounts of damage as well, training our armor against the enemy's surface orbit weapon batteries. SMS Baden has been repaired. Let's just continue those repairs up. They shouldn't take too long because we're just repairing armor. There were no internal damage, so definitely pretty good in that regard. I wish I could do auto repair, but you can't, which is definitely unfortunate. Service refit, get that underway, get that repaired up, and Baden completed overall. That's fantastic news. 2 Koenig class vessels. Now these are the A-Lodge class vessels that we constructed, the Koenigs. They carry 30 million liters of fuel, and they have a refueling capacity. They're pretty fast, a lot faster, and they also carry a lot of maintenance supplies as well. So these will be able to support battleship expeditions. So 2 of these can support a full battleship refuel. Well, not for the battleships, but for all of our entire fleet here can support a full refuel. So that's really nice. So yeah, not the most fueled right now, but they will allow us to move maintenance supplies around, move other things around. Yeah, we did just kind of do that to our fuel situation. Let's restart fuel refineries up again just to get our fuel back. We do have some sodium, so we can burn through that for an emergency usage case. Baden has been repaired, or Bayern has been repaired, and let's begin repairing the rest of them. So we want to repair another Alsace class, and we'll slowly start phasing the Alsace classes out at some point. For now, it's fine. We don't need to worry about it too much, but eventually we do want to phase them out just because they're starting to get a bit out of date. I also want to look into shields at some point for our vessels, but that's going to be a long way away. 3 more repaired, and we're just blitzing through these repairs, which, no pun intended for playing the Germans, but we really are, and that is fantastic for us. So let's just continue to repair the Königsbergs up. I think that's all the Königsbergs now in repairs. Should be anyway. And that's the Kaiser Barbarossa now repaired, and we should have pretty much... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all the vessels almost repaired at this point. Just got a few more Alsace class vessels to go through. A lot of completing overhauls as well. Repaired the Prinz Regent Luitpold. And now we're going to repair the next vessel on our list, which is going to be the SMS Kurfürst Friedrich Wilhelm. Kurfürst? Is it Kurfürst? Trying to learn how Germans use their accents correctly is kind of hard, not gonna lie. Kaiser Wilhelm II, and let's repair with the shipyard. So Alsace, that's all the Tirpitz, and then the Alsaces, we've got one more vessel, and that is the Vetten that needs a repair. And then we have fully repaired all of our ships. There we go. So now you can just begin repairing the last one, which is going to be the SMS Vetten, and that will be done in April of this year. Ostfriesland repaired, 3 more Bayern-class vessels finished up construction and have been assigned. I'm going to order them to join into a single group. I'm going to rename them to... No, I'm actually not going to rename them. I'm going to order them to head towards... head towards Alpha Centauri, which they should be able to do. HH Andromeda head towards Alpha Centauri, do a refuel resupply order there, and then join up with the First Fleet. And they're going to act for further planetary protection in the system, as is required. Strasbourg has completed orders. That's good news. Now, that's the cruisers that have arrived there, which is fantastic. Schwaben has been repaired and complete research into the commercial magnetic plasma drive. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin retooling, specifically on our APT shipyards. We're going to begin a retooling effort for the Rhineland class. We're going to have that done on September, and then we can start to begin construction of those vessels accordingly. And I'm also going to retool for the Rhineland over here as well. I'm going to start expanding that shipyard and that shipyard because we need a lot of these APTs, not only just for the troop transport, for a lot of things as well. The more APTs we have, the more transportation capability we have, and the more transportation capability that we have, the better. Especially if we're moving millions of tons of ground forces around at once, which is not an easy thing to just do. So yeah, we will definitely though be we will definitely be having to deal with it, but yeah, what can you do? Either way, I'm excited. That's gonna be a lot lower costs on those tugs, and so we should be able to mass produce, like, we should, for every one of the normal amber classes, we can now build 2 of the Rhineland classes, and they're about the same equivalency. Let's put the rest into beam fire controls. We definitely want to get those up. We're also looking at warhead strength. That's going to be increased soon. We're doing alien autopsy. Ground force construction rate is being increased as well, because again, we want to get that ground force construction rate up as much as we can, in hopes of ground force rate up as much as we can in hopes of building our forces up as quickly as possible, because the problem is that the quantity of forces we're going to need and the amount of development we need to really land them, and then we also have to destroy the surface door weapons, and it's a lot. It's a lot of work we gotta do, but I'm confident in our ability to be able to perform the job that is required. So we're going to begin a construction now of the Rhineland classes. I am going to add an extra slipway on here though, and I'm going to then order into... Where's the military shipyard gone? Is the military shipyard gone? That is annoying. Yeah, it is. We just make a military shipyard then. Oh, yeah. No, we have military shipyards. It's just not allowing me to actually build them into it. Construction fleet. Okay, no, there we go. Military shipyard. Construct Rhineland class 1, 2, 3, and those will be done in June. So a little under a year actually, which is pretty good when you think about it. So we'll continue to construct them just fine. And how is fuel situation looking? Better, but still not fantastic. And we're also continuing our maintenance supply production. However, it's not going the best as well. Though that probably has to do with the fact that we just built those A lodges, which are that just consume like 60,000 MSP in one go. I'm going to tell Ackman number 5 to kind of just stop doing what it's doing, because it's kind of like sucking too much fuel out of Earth. I mean, it does mean that we have a really nice forward operating base here. It just causes issues. So we're going to continue in January, 28, February. In June, I'll have 3 of those Rhineland classes, and I want as many of them done as possible for those troop transports because, like, okay, I want ideally 10 of them because that'll give us 1 million tons of troop transport capacity for troops, and then we'll be able to move stuff around rather easily with that capability. So I'm going to order up another APT. We're going to put that into the military shipyard, and then I'm going to begin adding slipway to that design as well. We should have heavy anti-vehicle weapons done here soon, so we can begin to design our first heavy tanks. Second Colonial Group was not able to load automated mine. Let me have a look at the Second Colonial Cargo Group. Second Colonial Cargo Group 002. You are unloading all this. Okay. Well, if you're good, then you're good. So let me have a look. We currently have 375 mines on this moon, and that means that we are mining 5,800 tons of gallicite. We're attempting to send that over, however, we don't have enough mass driver capability here to actually be able to send that over. Wolf 359 PMI. That's got 8 mass drivers. That's got 1. And how much are you mining? You're mining 32,000. We can move one over. So I actually got a job for you. Then go over to Wolf 359 and go over to here. Load up let's load up 2 mass drivers. Take them over to here. And then you're going to go back to Sol and begin a refuel process. And then don't cycle those moves. Should work out for you there. Heavy vehicle weapon done, which means we can begin to design our heavy vehicles. Heavy crewed anti-personnel, as well as heavy anti-vehicle. Now the question is how do we want to split this, right? So these are going to be very costly, these vehicles. Do we want to have them on multi-purpose? So we have heavy anti-vehicle and heavy crewed anti-personnel within a single tank? Or do we go HCAP with both, which gives us 12 shots per vehicle with one of these, and then we could have companies of like anti-infantry tank crews, and then we could have more anti-tank focused. I think to bring costs down and to standardize, I think it would make more sense in terms of effectiveness. I think this will be more effective. So we're gonna go for one. We're gonna call this the HAV 76 Light Hound, and we're gonna give it the designation 2102 because it is gonna be designed in 2102, and this will fire 12 shots and have penetration of 22, a damage of 15. So very, very capable little tank there. And then I'm going to design ourselves the heavy anti-vehicle version. So heavy anti-vehicle. So that gets us 2 shots, so a lot less, but pen 90. Okay. So, you know, if this comes in front of anything, the stuff's going to get absolutely demolished. Okay. If it hits, it gets kills. The problem is that tonnage is pretty ridiculous. No, that's pretty ridiculous amount of tonnage. HCAP. I might go for just HCAP, HAV on these ones. I mean, yeah, I think costs are going to just balloon too much, and I won't have enough flexibility. And we're not sure how many vehicles we'll face, so I don't think it's worth to go too heavy anti-vehicle. So I'm going to go, we'll call it the Flex Hound, and then I'll go 104. And I think we'll just do the Flex Hounds instead of the others. So we're going to create that. We're going to put these into 10,000 ton battalions, tank battalions. So I'm going to go heavy vehicle headquarters, and then we're going to put you on HCAP. Yeah, HCAP, that works. And 1,000, we'll do 10,000 tons. And I'm going to go HAV 106 Command Hound. And we'll put you on avoid combat. There we go. And that should be good for that. I think we already have logistics vehicles. Yes, we do. So we'll I'm going to order up for those vehicles to be constructed. And then we can have a look at building up those tank battalions that we'll be needing. We'll also need obviously infantry forces to be able to actually occupy the world and soak up damage. And so those will be definitely important. We'll move this from the queue. So that means that we'll have that done in about just under a year total time. But that is good progress that we are making there. What do we really need infantry-wise, however, though? Ground forces. heavy bombardment, jungle warfare, troop transport bays. I mean, we can design some of those and start building some of those. Troop transport drop bays that could quickly land the forces down. Could be useful, but I think overall we pretty much have everything that I want. Do we have heavy infantry armor? Defensive systems, ground combat. Super heavy vehicle armor. Heavy powered infantry armor. We do not have heavy powered infantry armor. Which is a little bit of an issue, not gonna lie, but it's fine for now. Okay, order up another 3 Rhineland class APTs. And basically we're just preparing for the invasion, really. This is all just to prepare for the invasion. Because once we secure the planet, we pretty much defeated our enemy, and then we can begin to exploit the system. And who knows what will go on from that point as we look outwards. The Flex Hound has completed construction. I'm not sure why I call it the Flex Hound. That's funny. Bit random, but it is a bit funny as well. St. Clair cargo complete orders, which now means that we should be transporting over all that lovely Galasite now to Wolfsgard as much as we can. And yeah, there we are. We're transporting it over, which hopefully should be ending up back on Earth, even though we are kind of whipping through our Galasite reserves pretty heavily. I'm not going to lie on that. And I'm going to stop our normal fuel refineries and just let our fuel harvesters do the job. Hopefully get our fuel reserves up as much as we can here, because that's not even enough to refuel our entire fleet once. Short range, medium, short range torpedo. Okay, we're going to halt on the torpedo construction. We currently have a stockpile of 200 Mark IIs. That's pretty good. We're going to make sure we actually design. I'm going to tell like our ships to actually use the Mark IIs here. So use the Mark IIs, and then destroyers on the hippers, use the Mark IIs as well. They're going to be a lot more effective and hopefully a lot more useful in destroying enemy vessels. Another Rhineland class was complete construction, and let's order up another Rhineland as well. Military shipyard. I don't know. We'll have those extra slipways done, which can really continue construction efforts. We want to get ground force construction rate up as much as possible, because these are going to be expensive battalions. With what I am planning on designing and building. Research into Command Hound done. So ground force says. I mean, I could go for the heavy powered infantry armor, and I'm actually gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it just because I think it could be really useful. Like that amount of armor could actually be really handy, especially against the enemy we face. And I'm hoping that we'll just have overwhelming ground force superiority in that. But we haven't really seen how strong our ground forces are, so we could get absolutely destroyed. We're probably going to need to drop a lot more than they have as well, combine that with fortification level, technology level, because they are many engine techs ahead. It's probably not going to go, it's probably not going to be super easy of any kind of a fight. So you got to keep that in mind. So we're going to design ourselves a new heavy tank battalion. And we're going to call WH. And actually, no, I need to rename it. Not being thematically correct. Let me look up the German words for this. Let me look it up. Give me a second, guys. I do apologize. Schweres Panzer Battalion. That works for me. The Schweres Panzer Battalion. And now we're going to put our little tanky boys in here. So we're going to put in... Well, what is that? 100 tanks, basically? Let's put 98 tanks in here. Well, that's a little bit much. We'll put 96. And then we'll put the Command Hound in. So that'll be 1. So 95 of those tanks. So we can fit 95 heavy tanks in a battalion, with 1 Command Hound for the normal for normal tank. For normal tanku. And that gives a GSP of 4,284, which is nothing to sneeze at. That is pretty significant. So we're going to have to kind of consider what to do regarding that. So I'm going to have to open my calculator in terms of supply. So I want them to be able to fight for at least 30 days on their own within a regiment. So a tank regiment. So let me bring the calculator on screen. So 4,284 GSP per battalion. Let's say we have 3 battalions in a regiment. That means that we're going to need, to get the exact number here, real quick, 428. 4 times that by 3. So that's how much we're going to need for 80 rounds. Or not 8 rounds, but 8 rounds of combat. So that's how much is needed for 8 rounds of combat. 8 rounds of combat is 80 hours. Okay, so to get what we need, 80 hours is about 3 days, give or take. So we need to 10 times this. We need 120,000 GSP to get about 30 days. So we're going to create ourselves a tank regiment, WH, and then we're going to have to put in ourselves a little bit of a regimental headquarter, but it's we're going to be putting in a heavy vehicle headquarter for this. We need 30,000 tons specifically. Well, we don't even need to do that. Just put headquarters 30,000 tons, 162, and we're going to call this tank regimental headquarters. Put that on avoid combat, and I'm going to order that up in the ground forces. Take that off heavy powered infantry armor for now, and begin getting the tank regimental headquarters up, and that'll be done on April of this year. Okay, good news in that regard then. Alien autopsy done. So that actually does mean now that we should know what their people are like. Known species the Jodhpur. Minimum gravity 0.31 Gs. At max velocity, it's a very human. They're very, very human-like, even though it doesn't look very human. I will admit, they don't look very human, do they? Not very human at all, anyway, as far as I can tell. They look more like aliens to me. Or something similar. Alright. 3 more islands completed. Let's order up another 3. We're just going to continue to just spam out these Rylander class vessels in hopes of them sorting out most of our tug and movement issues. Galasite is kind of coming back into fold here. Fuel is increasing. Maintenance supplies is going back up. So far, I'm happy about that. Pretty happy overall. So that's good news. Okay, tank regimental headquarters completed. So now I'm going to go to ground forces, and we're going to you go to formation templates, tank regiment, and we're going to go for a tank regimental headquarters. There we go. That's 30,000 tons. Actually, that should probably be more. It's fine. I think. No, it's not. It's not. Okay. I'm just gonna use SM for this because that was a just a stupid mistake. Formation templates, tank regiment, get rid of the tank regiment headquarters, get rid of it, obsolete. Then I want to go over here, we're gonna go to static, headquarters, 40,000 tons is what we want. Tank regimental headquarters. Maybe we'll need more than that, to be honest. So instant. Okay. And then one of these, and then we're gonna need as many LAVs as we can get our hands on. So, how many vehicles do we need for 120,000 GSP? 120,000. Divide that by 500. We need 240 LAVs. So we need 15,000 ton regimental headquarters to be able to support the amount of GSP required for a month in combat. But keep that in mind that it doesn't necessarily. I mean, we should have. It's about 30 days of combat. The problem is these tanks, because they're using GSP, like compare that to the infantry battalions that are using 1,250. These tanks use 4,284. They're not cheap. The cost is 1,200 as well. So that's what that'll take us 3 years to build. That's a lot of time. But I think we have the time to build that. It's not completely outrageous. Infantry battalion wise, we should be able to train up the infantry battalions relatively easily. I mean, these are heavy tanks. These are going to be really brutal weapons of war. So we'll have to see, you know, how effective it will be. But yeah, again, this regimental headquarters is still not enough for what we need. So I'm going to go ahead and go to static headquarters, and we're going to go up to 45,000 tank regimental headquarters. There we go. Instantly create that, and we're going to put that into this design. There we go, and we have ourselves a little. I'm actually gonna put this to 239 just to make sure that we have all the amount that we need. Actually, that won't be enough. So 238. We'll go with 238. There we go. And that means that we can build tank regiments and Schwer battalions, or heavy tank battalions. And I'm then going to order them up. So, how many regiments do I want? A tank division is going to be like 3-4 regiments, right? So, I want at least one tank division, because one tank division would be 120,000 tons of capacity. So we probably want 2 tank divisions, honestly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. So that is that is 3 regiments. Okay. Then let's do it to here. That's 6 regiments. So that's 2 divisions worth. Then we add in regimental headquarters for those for the battalions. So tank regiment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So that is that is what we're going to be needing. And then we're going to need a division HQ on top of that. And if everything's 120,000 tons, and then that's going to be that much. We're also going to need supply battalions. So that would give us. So let's say we decided we went with the figure of we want to land 2 million tons of ground force on our opponent. Okay, that would be 240,000 tons of tanks. So that would be about 10% of our force. About 10-12% of our force is going to be tanks, and then the 88% is going to be other stuff. It's probably more like 8%, 9% of our force is tanks, because you can't really count the LAVs, right? They take up, you know, a good 14,000 tons out of there. So it's about a 1-to-2 ratio in terms of that. But I'm decently happy with it. We are going to design ourselves a division template for this, though. So we're going to go for 120,000 tons. Oh, it's not 120,000. What am I on about? It's 45,000. So that'd be 135,000 tons total. So we're going to go for 140,000 tons. We're going to round that up to 140,000. So that would mean that the division sizes would be 280,000 tons. So we would be about, 15, I'd say about 10-15% around there. We're going to call this the Tank Division Headquarters 2102. And create that, and we'll put that onto research immediately. But that's basically what we'll be doing for our tank corps. Now, for our infantry, we are going to try. I'm going to try to go for that heavy powered infantry armor. I want to have an elite force. Not elite, but like I want these guys to be shock troops. Okay. I want shock troops, but I also want mass infantry bodies. So there'll be different versions, and we'll play around with a few of them. But there we go. Tank Division Headquarters, and that'll be RP rating. That'll be done on December of this year. Ground force construction rate just increased actually, which should that reduces the time it'll take for a lot of these. Can I increase that more, please? Yes, I can. So that's a long time away, but hopefully that'll be done. That actually probably won't be in time to actually matter for a lot of things. So I'm going to actually go for ground forces, heavy powered infantry armor, 9 labs onto that, please. Thank you. And continue to increment along here. Slipway added to cover shipbuilding. That's good news. And we should be seeing now in December with the other forces finishing up here. So here's a big thing about ground forces that you guys always need to understand is that it's all built vertically like this. It's horizontally. It's built in a way where it's built simultaneously side by side, and in that regard, you can't, for example, have 5 factories work on one battalion and then have that be finished much quicker. So you always want to have smaller battalions that go into one big formation in the hierarchy. In this case, I can't really get around the build times just purely on the fact that we are talking about heavy tanks. Each battalion is 100 tanks, okay? So we're training, what is that? We're training 369, 3 battalions per regiment, 3 regiments per division. So that is going to be 18 regiments. So we're building 180 heavy tanks. Okay. No, we're building 1,800 heavy tanks. What am I at that? 1,800. So we're building 1,800 heavy tanks in 3 years. That's pretty good. And if we keep that production up, obviously we're going to stop after this because we want to then begin production of infantry units, infantry formations. But yeah. But still, we're going to have to find a way to handle the situation regarding the problem. And to do that, we're going to begin building up more battleships, in general, more battleships. And the problem I'm talking about is going to be dealing with the self-assault weapons, which is just going to come down to us just bombarding them into fucking hell. As much as we can, probably losing battleships doing it. But the ground force is the biggest obstacle so far because it just requires a lot more logistical planning, it requires a lot more logistics in general, and requires a lot of forces to actually accomplish the goal that we're trying to set out for ourselves. So, we got to keep that in mind as we design everything regarding here. And let's begin incrementing along. So we're just waiting for December to roll around, and that should finish up the divisional headquarters, which is going to be useful because we're going to need to put stuff into divisions, and those divisions will be very important. Then we put that into a tank corps, and then we can move that stuff around, of course, as well. That's a Rhineland done, which is fantastic news. So we have a bunch of tugs now available. So once we get the troop pods readied and completed, and the ground construction complex building has gone really, really well. We now have 40 of them, and we're building a hell of a lot. As we start building 1,800 tanks, heavy tanks. I'd like to bring out a number up to 5,000 tanks total in that army. So that would be 6 divisions, 2 corps. I think that would be a good place to kind of start our position off of. We're trying to build the Grand Imperial German Army. Okay, I mean, take some effort. Take some effort. So we're going to call this a tank division, and we're going to give it WH, and I'm just going to put the tank division in here. They're very cheap. We don't need to put any logistics in it because they're going to be on the regimental level. And I'm going to order up the divisions like that. So that is 2 divisions on the way. That'll be done by next year, basically. And then ground forces, I'm going to begin to put everything. So I'm going to put 35% into powered infantry armor, 15 labs. Oh, excuse me, 15 labs, please. And then the rest is going to go into other ground forces. So ground force construction rate. I guess we can just go for ground force construction rate. Heavy all kinds of bombardment weapons, drop bays. We could go for drop bays. That probably would be important considering. Yeah, we'll see. For now, I think we'll just go for the extra ground force construction rates because that is just so important. That's going to be an extra 20% increase to our ground force construction rates. That's the biggest way to actually increase the amount of construction you can do. Okay, let's order up another 6 Rhineland class APTs. Massive construction going on right now. How is our wealth situation doing? It's actually doing really good. Really, really good. We have a really significant bank at the moment, and so we're pretty fine at dealing with most of this stuff. Mining operations are also going fantastic, and we're continuing our mining over on these worlds. And then we should also be mining over here as well, and then sending all those resources back to the Lord Gal, and that's bringing it home. So we're mining like hundreds of thousands of tons of resources across the universe, and we're sending that back to Earth, which is feeding the massive war machine that we're trying to create here, as best as we can anyway. So we should have the heavy powered infantry armor coming up. So I'm thinking is we make like German Panzer Grenadier, like something like that, and then we have like Panzer Grenadier, like heavy maybe mechanized or shock troops, and then we have the normal army battalions that are just designed to hold ground, soak up damage, and secure a front line. And we'll give different levels of armor to each depending on their tasks as needed. Thermonuclear warheads increase. That's a big increase. That's big boy increase. And that'll take 10 years for the next increase. So that means that if I go over to here and I bring up my Warforex calculator, really quick, so ship optimizer, missile optimizer, please. We go for the 2-stage thermonuclear warhead, and we go for missile agility 64. That means we can get a 59,200 kilometer per second. But we could probably go for a 48 size warhead on this, no? Yeah, we could go for 48 warhead strength on one of these missiles, which that sounds like some bad times for anyone who's getting hit by that. But yeah, I mean, it's not that long for those tanks. We'll have those done again, as I said, pretty close, pretty soonish. You just kind of need to wait for it for a little bit, and we'll have the other. We'll have heavy infantry armor done somewhat soon. I should probably get on designing the infantry side now, but kind of drawing it close to the end of the episode here. So next episode we'll finish off the design, and then we'll start really planning out the full-scale ground force invasion that we're planning on. Let's order. I'm gonna order up another 6 of these Rhinelands, and then I'm gonna stop for then. But that is a lot of tug capability that we can move stuff around with, move transportation around with. And I'm very excited to use those in significant capacities. Now December, we're now in, there we go, we trained up 6 tank regiments, which is fantastic news. And we should then have, we're 50% done on all of our heavy tank battalions, and those will be done on July 2106. So we'll be waiting for that, that is for sure. February, and we're looking for June, I think, for heavy infantry powered armor. I think that's where we're going to end the episode off once we hit June here. Or was it July? It's around there. May, and coming up into June. There we go, heavy powered infantry armor on. So if you have a look at that now, infantry, so does increase the cost quite significantly. It's double the cost, but double the armor, right? So that's 24 armor points. So if we have half the amount of shock troopers as we have normal infantrymen, then that'll be fine in terms of the equivalent cost amount. But if we compare it in terms of personal weapons, so let's say we have powered infantry armor, right, which is probably what we'd put on normal infantrymen. That has an armor of 18, and personal weapons do a penetration of 15. Crude anti-personnel does penetration of 15. Heavy crude personnel does a penetration of 22, so that rips through the powered infantry armor. However, the heavy powered infantry armor does allow you to survive heavy crude anti-personnel. It also allows you to do better with light anti-vehicle and some of the other weapons as well. Medium bombardment, like handles versus that. Medium autocannons, not so much. Light autocannons, yes, can deal with light autocannon fire and stuff like that. But yeah, and that's where we're going to leave the episode off. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Really just preparing for the ground invasion, preparing for our ground forces, designing some of our ground force, and I hope it's been exciting and enjoyable for you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Please like, comment, subscribe. Really, really help me out. Goodbye.